Hi, I'm City Councilman Manny Pelaez. I'm a San Antonian, and I'm raising a pair of San Antonians as well. And as a San Antonio parent, I got to tell you that the history of Mexican-American civil rights in San Antonio is very important to me, and it's something I talk about often with my kids. But today I'd like to share with you just a snippet of a story. And it really turns on a lawsuit. Edgewood versus Kirby is a case that captivated me when I was a young law student at St. Mary's University. And it really got me thinking, and I think it helped mold me. That case featured parents who were Mexican-American parents who were convinced that their schools were providing subpar educations to their children simply because they weren't financed equitably the way that non-majority Mexican-American schools were being financed. And they picked a fight and they filed a lawsuit. And with the help of MALDEF and I think 8 other school districts, they filed suit. And by the time they were finished, they galvanized so many people to action that I think 67 other school districts joined in that fight. And that case is history now, but it is an important piece of Mexican-American civil rights history. But more importantly, it's an important building block of the overall conversation that we have when we talk about U.S. civil rights. And that case captivated me because it made me look deeper and read other cases and read more about the work that San Antonians had done here to fight for, to fight for what's right. And what I realized is that there are heroes among us, and their stories need to be told, which is why I'm so excited that the Mexican-American Civil Rights Institute is, well, it's in our backyard now. And San Antonio will be the home of the place where those stories are told, because they need to be told, not just, to the next generation, but the generation after that and the one after that. Because that history is what will inform our future. So I gotta thank everybody involved with this project, the Mexican-American Civil Rights Institute. I am so grateful for the work that you're doing to make sure that we're gonna have these in-person retellings of these stories, that you're gonna be doing this online curation. I am so impressed with the plans, and I can't wait to see what else y'all have in mind, and that I know is gonna benefit my children. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all the hard work. Thank you for what you are doing, and thank you for what you have in store for all of us. Congratulations.
Hey everybody, County Commissioner Justin Rodriguez here from Precinct 2. Just wanted to take a minute to congratulate all of the hard work that went into the formation, the creation, and of course the opening of the Mexican-American Civil Rights Institute here in San Antonio. Of course, the county is a proud supporter. We're very happy to have been part of the group that initially funded and launched MACRI, as we call it. Here in San Antonio, of course, we have such a deep, rich history of Mexican-American struggles, but also triumphs. And I think we're a city certainly that is built upon the success of our people, and I'm certainly no exception to that. The folks that I stand on the shoulders of, from Henry V. Gonzalez to Henry Cisneros, and others like Maria Bellezabal, so many folks who paved the way for folks like me to not just succeed, but to give back and to serve others. So I'm very honored to be a part of this launch, virtually of course, and I thank all of you who put in the blood, sweat, and tears to ensure the funding was there to get this going. We know it's going to take continued support, so let's continue to push for funding down the road so we can continue to highlight the work of all of those, again, that we stand on the shoulders of. So thank you and congratulations on the MACRI launch today.
I'm Councilwoman Ana Sandoval. I serve on the City Council representing District 7 in the City of San Antonio. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my experiences here in San Antonio, and I'm going to focus on the language barriers. So my family moved here in 1976. I was a year old. I was born in Mexico, in Monterrey, actually not very far from here, but a separate country, right? Um, my parents didn't speak English at the time, and in fact, to this day, they really struggle with it. So my sister and I served as their translators, as their interpreters when we were younger, and sometimes we still do. So my older sister started kindergarten, and that's where she learned English and came home, taught me what she knew. And we were 3 and 5 years old, and we had this idea that in every country there was an English and a Spanish, and the Spanish was the language you spoke at home with your family. It was a personal language, and that the English was the language that you spoke in public with strangers or with other people. I don't remember at what point it finally became clear that wasn't the case. So my sister and I are here growing up in South Texas, going to the San Antonio Independent School District schools. And despite that, we actually knew very few people in our classes, in our schools, who spoke Spanish. We were usually the only student in each of our classes who spoke the Spanish language. And the other students, their parents had been here for at least a generation. They might have been second generation or third, whereas we were recent arrivals. So in order to set their children up for success, many parents chose not to teach their children Spanish. And we've heard this story in the news about our local presidential candidate, former presidential candidate, Julian Castro, who he's a perfect example of that. The generation before him had experienced that, and that's one of the reasons he did not speak Spanish fluently, which I think is also really, the media's been extremely hard on him about that, because we have plenty of families that immigrated a long, long time ago from Germany or from Italy, and we don't expect their descendants to speak Italian or to speak German, and we don't see them as a failure because they don't. So I think that's patently unfair. But the truth is, it was a tragic event, right, that occurred throughout South Texas that really robbed a generation of Mexican Americans from what was rightfully theirs, which is culture and language. I didn't realize how lucky I was to be able to speak the Spanish language. In fact, my sister and I just wanted to fit in. We wanted to be like the other kids. We were embarrassed that we spoke Spanish at home sometimes. But at the end of the day, that really, it ended up being something very helpful and very beautiful that today I'm really proud of. So in high school, I was able to use my Spanish when I participated in the mariachi program. My parents always had music playing at home. They didn't perform, but they certainly played lots of albums, and we heard the radio. So I have lots of fond memories of Spanish language and especially Mexican music. And I was able to convey that when I participated in the mariachi program. I was also able to get me a job that paid decent money, and I was able to help my family with that. Fast forward 20, 30 years later, here I am back in San Antonio, serving on the city council thanks to a lot of community support, and am now a part of history because I serve on the first elected female majority city council, and all of those women, all 6 of us, are women of color. 5 Latinas and 1 African American woman. So very proud to be a part of that. So we've made a lot of progress. One of those huge highlights is the creation of the first ever institute to focus on the history of Mexican American civil rights. And it was the vision of many of our Chicano activists to do that. So that's definitely a highlight, but there's a lot of work to do. I mean, the fact that this is the first institute tells us how much work is left to do. So we're so glad that you've been formed and that you're taking on this challenge, and we are here to support and to see it through with you.